Hello, 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 and welcome to our panel discussion today on why data is key to cloud video evolution, hosted by Digital TV Europe and sponsored by Velocix. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we'll be looking at video streaming workflows and how they transition towards the cloud and hybrid cloud architectures. We'll also discuss how next-gen video analytics will help to accelerate this evolution and how it can, for example, boost stream quality, customer loyalty, as well as service margins. We'll explore which data is most relevant for this journey, and we'll also consider predictive analytics and machine learning. My name is André Waltenspiel, and I'm excited to be your host and moderator of this panel today. In my day job, I'm advising and challenging thought leaders and innovators of this industry to connect the dots. Now, let me introduce you to two speakers. We have André Rosado from Velocix, live from Lisbon, and we have Pedro Muñoz from Liberty Latin America. Hola, hello, live from Chile, Santiago. Hi guys, are you there?
Yes, we're here. Thank you. Hey, Andy.
Hola, hola Pedro. Hola André.
Hey.
Hello guys, hello.
Welcome. Great to have you here today. So before we start with the discussion, let's please introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and your role. And Pedro, I may ask you, you want to start first?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Andy. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Pedro Muñoz. I work for LLA. And particularly, I'm part of the video core engineering team. And what we do mainly is just work on capacity stuff and part of the operations as well, giving support as tier 2 or 3 to our operations. It's a really exciting job, actually, because we are quite busy, usually. And I can tell you the largest operation we have in LLA from the video perspective is in Chile, PTR. And recently, or let's say this is the second year, we are already working on several countries on Hub TV or IPTV systems. So our platform is distributed in Caribe and in South America and Chile, as I said. And one of the main partners we have in our systems is Velocix.
And Pedro, I think you have also an overview of the content delivery platform, right? So there's the slide.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, the content delivery platform is one of the most important ones at this stage, especially when we talk about IPTV. We have across the LLA operations facilities where we provide this content delivery to our customers. Our main services are, of course, linear channels, SD, HD, and we have some experiences on 4K recently. And also we have, of course, non-linear services like replay, video on demand, and some NDVR services. And this is not just for fixed, let's say devices like set-top boxes usually we have at home. We have mobile services as well, which are being served from the content delivery network. So as you can see on screen, the origin recording CDN is part of our environment. And the analytics that we are taking from are just, for checking the streaming efficiency and quality mainly, right? All this information about how our subscribers or customers are living or watching our services, right? From the experience point of view. That's pretty much from my side.
Pedro, thank you very much. And over to you, André. Tell us a bit about Velocix and your role.
Sure. Hello again, and also very glad to be with both of you here. Let me introduce myself. So my name is André Rosado. I work as CDN and Analytics Product Manager at Velocix. And for those who don't know, Velocix is a leading provider of content delivery and tech software for telcos, cable operators, broadcasters. So essentially, we build tools which operate at a carrier-grade level for the overall video streaming business. I also take the opportunity to refer that we've just launched a new product called Velocix Analytics, which is a product that offers advanced server-side analytics for content delivery. It is really a powerful tool to optimize streaming efficiency and end user quality of experience, and provides also in-depth customer insights for marketing analysis. It's great to be here with Pedro, as LLA, as he just mentioned, right? LLA is one of our first deployments of the analytics solutions, and we are eager to be working with them in this latest release.
Great. Thank you, André. And we get back to analytics in a bit, but let's park it for a moment and start a bit with considering what's really driving the move to the cloud and hybrid cloud when it comes to streaming technologies. So maybe, Pedro, let me ask a question to you. So where do you see most value in the move to cloud technologies for Liberty Latin America? Is it more the streamlined operations? Is it faster time to market and deployment? Or something completely else, or all of the above? Where is most value for you in it?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Andy. I think all of them are important. Of course, the main benefits, in my opinion, is how we can centralize operations, for example, when we move to the cloud, and the efficiency from the operation is really important. The deployments, let's say, of future rollouts will be easier as well from that point of view. So, in my opinion, is a key matter. Move to the cloud with a lot of benefits in that regard.
What about cost? Is that not, or is that implicit in centralizing and more efficiency? So, do you expect moving to the cloud will give you just more efficient, but at higher cost, same cost, lower cost?
Yeah, that's an interesting question too, because the model we are running today, because of course we are not in cloud yet, is regarding operations. I think one thing is to look at the investment or capex when we want to roll out a new network or even expansions. But another different picture is when we talk about operations, right? So from the operation point of view, I think this is something that we have to check carefully, because at the end, the content delivery network on each operation is going to be still there. So we cannot say that the facilities, or let's say the on network, is going to disappear. I mean, a lot of things needs to be reviewed, and but at the end, the future says that, in my opinion, that we have to move to the cloud because of the cloud, because of the synergies, right, that we can get at the end of the road.
Okay. André, from your side, how do you see the move towards cloud-based content delivery to improve operational efficiency? We heard from Pedro, but do you think it's, and you see from other operators, is it tiny or is really a huge step? So where are we?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I back up some of the perspectives that Pedro is saying here in terms of operational efficiency. Definitely that is one of the key advantages of the transition that we are going from on-prem to cloud. In reality, if you are employing multi-tenancy or running multi-tenant cloud solutions, you can effectively streamline the operations for all the video services, right? So in that sense, to answer your question, Andy, I think the step forward is not tiny. It can be significant. That has to be measured, but could be significant. You can effectively centralize your all operations, right? You can handle multiple services in one infrastructure point alone, which creates a clear operational synergy between teams. And also another aspect that I would like to add on here, the underlying cloud native technologies that we employ here. And I'm here talking about specifically about containers and containers management, for instance, using Kubernetes. Well, these technologies natively enable a more efficient operational management, right? So applications are more easily installed, upgraded, scaled up, and then eventually torn down when resources are not needed anymore. So I think all these considerations lead to a significant impact on the operational efficiency and the financial costs associated with it.
And I hear you also say time to market will also be better, easier, faster to scale, easier to upgrade, faster to upgrade.
Exactly.
Right?
I think there are the technologies that we use to really move our workloads to cloud natively enable this more efficient operational side of the equation. And of course, this leads to more efficiency, more faster to respond, more faster to install, more faster upgrade times. All the operations that you have associated with infrastructure are made more easier.
Okay, so Pedro, it sounds like you will throw away all your on-prem system, on-net system, put it to the bin, just put a brand new cloud, and it's fantastic. Is that
I think
what is going to happen, or not?
Yeah, I think Andre's been a little bit optimistic. I think it's going to be gradually, let's say, move to that in that direction. But I think it's going to take a while. I think at the beginning we're going to have still a combination because we cannot have all the infrastructure away and just move everything at once in cloud. But it's going to be a process. But sooner or later, the efficiency is going to come, and we need to look for that efficiency because the synergy from the operation point of view, from the scalability point of view, is going to be the win-win in my opinion. But it's going to be a process. It's not going to be from one day to the other. I wish, but it's not going to happen like that, in my opinion.
Can you make a prediction on, is that something that will take 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, or maybe one country fast, the other later?
Yeah, it's hard to say that. Yeah, I'm not an oracle, but it's hard to say that this is going to happen, in a specific time frame. But we already have some experience today in our IPTV systems based on cloud, and I hope and I know that the Velocix already have, for example, VRM cloud experience, and this is something really, really interesting that we have to look at. But I think it's going to take some time, maybe a few years. I don't know. And but at the end, again, sooner or later, we're gonna be there. We're gonna get there.
Okay, André, on your side, I mean, that was quite a speech for cloud. Is that your exclusive focus? So you're only exclusively focusing on cloud. How does hybrid fit in? Because everyone will need to transform that. So, what do you have in store there?
Sure, and let me scale down a bit the optimism that Pedro was seeing in my previous sentence. I was looking more for the far ahead benefits and the impactful measures that cloud operations can bring to the table, because I agree with Pedro in this point. When we are analyzing this transition, right, it's still undisputed that the value it brings for content delivery has to be seen as a trade-off between flexibility and cost per bit, right? So that will depend a lot on the timelines and the priorities of each operator. And having said this, and to pick on your point of your question, Andy, we do believe that the hybrid scenarios will play a fundamental role on the successful cloud transition, as it allows to implement new projects, new functionalities in a more timely manner, but that without impacting the existing systems already deployed on premises, and with more effective business case, right? So in that case, I fully agree with Pedro that has to be a timely transition, and of course, gradual turning to workloads to cloud and at a cautious pace. But I can give you an example, for instance, where hybrid cloud can be employed, for instance, to handle traffic bursts, right? So which are by definition sporadic and variable in terms of demand volume. So if you have an hybrid cloud scenario, means that you can use both your dedicated on-prem delivery capacity in conjunction with the dynamically allocated capacity that you might have in cloud instances. Of course, all controlled by the same management plane to support this extra load. So when traffic goes back to its average pattern, these newly instantiated delivery nodes can be turned off, meaning you can fully control the costs. So this is a scenario where I think hybrid cloud really could play a role and be a test drive for the transition between on-prem and cloud instances. And this is something that is not too far ahead. It's something that we are already working on.
Okay, great. So if I may summarize it, efficiency, and it's a big step, not just small improvements. Scaling up and down fast, deploying, maintaining, upgrading fast. So time to market, reacting to peaks is something that's the value. or the key value in the operation. So, okay. So I think we covered enough of the basics, and we agree that cloud is a key initiative for everyone. I think nobody will disagree. If you do, send a question and let us know, and we'll discuss it later. Now, let's move on and talk about how analytics contribute to this journey of this transformation. Andre, you mentioned you have a new product out there, but let's look at the successful cloud video deployment. What do we need there? But before we get to you, Andre, maybe Pedro, how important is analytics for you today? Is that nice to have, important, or is it really crucial for you? Tell us.
Well, before to answer your question, I would like, I forgot something important. Okay. when we talk about to move to the cloud, we have to pay attention as well to our resources, our structure. So to reorganize the operations is not that simple, right? Because we have a bunch of people there that they are doing a really, really important daily work. And to move to the cloud means that we have to reorganize not just the people, to reorganize the activities and the thinking, and to see how this is gonna be, in the new scenario. And now regarding your question, well, of course, is in my opinion, it's a must. So it's crucial, absolutely, because based on the analytics, we can discover a lot of things. Let me give you just a few examples. For example, traffic pattern. This is something that we would like to see in a more realistic way, on a real-time basis, hopefully, and online, for example, just to make decisions about not just capacity, about the customer consuming behavior. Also viewership trends, for example. And a lot of information that come from data needs to be analyzed. And the benefits, of course, is going to be for improving the quality experience, stuff like that. So if you ask me if this is a really, really important matter, I think it's crucial, absolutely. But we need to be really careful because it's going to be a bunch of information that we have to process at this point.
Okay, so clearly, absolutely necessary and great. Maybe the right time, Andre, you're launching this product. So let us know, what are the really critical things if I think about analytics? What specifically do I need to take care of? Which data and data analytics are key in the cloud environments? Where do I need to focus as an operator?
I think, well, data, of course, is fundamental to many aspects of cloud operations. I personally think all the operation benefits highlighted by Pedro are really relevant in the video industry nowadays. You need to measure, to know what to improve and how to improve it, right? In the end, to deliver a better service and retain and attract more customers. What I think can be also added on top is that there is a value, right? Intrinsic value to the data that is generated and being processed in real time, because it can also play a role for certain live use cases. For instance, what I was just mentioning a while back on the hybrid cloud scenarios, the detailed streaming performance and the capacity metrics will be needed to drive the activation of extra capacity, extra nodes in your delivery network. And likewise, there are scenarios that are appearing a lot. So multiple CDN environments, for instance, where data will be the key to trigger traffic decisions. So when you want to selectively route traffic, it's really important to understand the relative costs of each CDN and also have in mind that there are business-related information like the regions where you are operating, right? The ISPs where your customers are coming from, content restrictions, etc. But the real-time quality monitoring of each CDN should also be used to take more tactical decisions and prevent bottlenecks. I think these decisions cannot be done efficiently without the right performance metrics and the highly performance analytics backend. And of course, all of these can be also employed to fine-tune automation process, not only in these routing activities, but on operations that the ISPs must need.
Okay. In order to get there, what are the key technology concepts? Maybe highlight just a few that everyone should know about. Like, what's the toolbox of concepts when you want to engage in cloud-based video architectures and analytics?
Yeah, on analytics, I think we have to focus on the data pipeline components, right? To collect, to process, to store, and then to visualize. And first of all, on the generation front, well, we have to tackle, and Pedro was just highlighting that a couple of minutes ago, the amount of data that is generated nowadays by the video systems, right? It grows by the day. All the engineering and operational teams need more and more data and logs or other data sources, for instance, to refine their troubleshooting, their monitoring, to improve the overall quality of service parameters. So a robust and practical analytics solution nowadays has, first of all, to be able to scale seamlessly, I think, with stable performance at a larger pace of ingest, right? A larger data ingest rates, while also providing a significant compression factor in order for you to optimize the storage. You don't want to have a huge data lake to maintain, right? You want to have a compression factor that makes the system scalable and the costs controlled. Of course, you need also to have the data available on the other side of the equation, right, to be visualized as soon as possible. So the overall ingest latency, meaning from the server that generates the data to your analytics application screen, right, all this pipeline is a key quality aspect that we are also looking for. So faster ingest, faster search mechanisms and query mechanisms, in order to have the visualizations in order up to speed and to take action quickly, right? I think these are the bigger challenges and aspects that have to be considered from an engineering perspective.
Okay, and Pedro, for you as a user of this tool, what are the key capabilities you are looking for that will contribute to your success at LLA? And where do you see those bring the most value? Is that QoE that you mentioned, quality of service, both?
Yeah, well, actually, I think André mentioned part of them already. Optimizing streaming efficiency, to minimize costs, I think is really, really important. And of course, the way how we can track, let's say, viewing experience, just to ensure the best-in-class experience. I think this is just an example of a few things that André, as I said, already mentioned.
Okay, so maybe André, if we look beyond quality experience, so what else is there? Can analytics help me in my day-to-day operational tasks, and how?
Yes, of course. I think there are, on a daily basis, right, two big groups of activities that operations you need to tackle and usually tackle, right? Both contributing to quality of service and a better experience. I think the first one is more proactive, right? More to anticipate and more to plan ahead. While the other, for instance, is more responsive, how to better react, how to quickly react to incidents. On the proactive side, we think, we have tools like capacity planning, right? Or where capacity planning might be needed, where you can look to historical data from your system, understand how it behaved on specific events. All of this in order to project the infrastructure resources that you might need to cope with upcoming large traffic events. Or if you don't have to expand or to add more capacity, simply having better load balancing mechanisms for those type of situations. So I think on the proactive side, there are analytics give you tools to allow that, to enable that. On the response side, on the responsiveness side, right, the key KPI are related to fault response, right? So how to quickly address incidents. The more data you have, the better you can troubleshoot with more insights and to take easier conclusions on what's going wrong and what needs to be fixed. In the end, I personally believe that the perfect scenario, I don't know, Pedro, if you agree with me, but the perfect scenario will be a combination of both, right? So when you can use the predictive tools that you have to prevent incidents to happen or to be more readily prepared for them. I think that's the next challenge that we might face together.
Pedro, you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Just to say that sometimes it's not that obvious to determine if, for example, contents or customer behavior or experience is in connection with the traffic. Not necessarily. But André is right. I mean, I fully agree. This is something that we have to check one by one, and when arrives, let's say.
Yeah, because in the end, infrastructure analytics is one thing, but you need to have an end-to-end view, right? So to cover broader aspects, you want to serve behavior tracking, identifying viewership trends on the things that are deployed. So I guess you're addressing this as well, right, Pedro?
Yeah, correct. Actually, the content popularity, for example, or as I mentioned before, what our customers are watching or viewership trends, everything that we can discover from the analytics is important, because at the end, it's going to help us to make decisions about products, about services, about capacity, about many things. So as much as we can have in order to control the variables that I'm giving you as an example, or among others probably, that would be great. But we have to pay attention, because we mentioned this already, but we have to pay attention that the amount of data is going to be for sure overwhelming any system. So we have to see which KPIs, for example, or which kind of indicators are going to be really useful, right, in a daily basis to make this decision easier, and especially for our customers at the end.
So quite some challenges on technology, implementing it, starting with hybrid, migrate to full cloud eventually, sometime down the road, identifying the right data and so on. But I want to go back to something you said before, Pedro, is the mindset transformation. So is that something that you think it's going to be easy? Will it be easy to say people that worked on broadcast systems for the last 20 years, switch them and put them onto cloud mode? Do you need to hire a lot of new people, new roles, data scientists? So how big of an adventure is that?
Yeah, well, I'm fully confident that our team in LLA and for sure in most of the operations around the world, they have all the capabilities and technical knowledge and skills in order to handle these kind of things. But again, it's a process. We need to learn step by step, day by day, about how this is going to work. And during this process, maybe we are going to get as resources training, on-job training, for example, or some specific tools that Velocix can provide as well. But at the end, at the end of the day, this is going to be a process. It's going to be a nice journey that we have to run together until to make it. But in my opinion, it's not just a matter of how many people we have, how smart are those people, or if they are, with some specific knowledge. It's something that we will discover, because we don't really know how this is gonna be.
André, you do this every day, so you talk to different customers. What are the recommendations you can give them for this mindset transformation? Do you offer tools, trainings? How does it work? How can you make this transition as smooth as possible from a people's perspective?
Yeah, excuse me. I think. Well, I like the word that Pedro used, journey. I like the word journey very much, because it's really what it's all about. Really, we are making a process together, vendors and customers, right, and operators. Sorry, in the path to this transformation. There are a lot of legacy technologies, a lot of ways of working with different kind of skills that require different kind of skill set. So while we are also building new generation solutions to overcome a bit the challenges that we are facing, and working together in order to make the products more impactful, more financially efficient, right? We also have to take in account that we are revamping the architecture, the technology set, right? So the same kind of training, the same kind of journey that the companies that are building products have to take in account internally to skill their staff and their personnel, their developers, their integrators, etc., of a richer skill set in order to move to new type of infrastructures in new operational models. We are also merging those best practices that we are capturing and the lessons learned in our side with the operators, right? Because in the end, they are going to be the ones that are going to run our products, install it the best way, and the success has two ways in this case. So it's a journey that we have to make together with the right skill set. We are attaining skills with the right technology to bring forward the products that we want for our operators.
Okay, great. Thank you for that view. Now, of course, we cannot talk about analytics without covering the buzzword machine learning, right? So, André, yes, it's a buzzword, but is it more than a buzzword? So, predictive analytics, you mentioned. How does it impact content delivery? Is this a buzzword or is it reality? Where are we? When do we get it? Tell us.
Yeah, well, I understand the perspective of the buzzword, and I also consider that some of the technology terminology can be considered as buzzwords that cover many aspects, right? But in respect to analytics, I actually believe that we have to consider them for some certain purposes, right? So I would say that's the next step forward in terms of video analytics. Right now, we are more or less at the point where we are seeing data as the means or enabler to paint the current picture, right? What's happening on the field. To a point that we have to achieve a point where data gives you insights of what's coming next, right? So what is going to be there in the next, the predictive, the projecting capabilities that I was just talking about. And is definitely a field where I think new technologies will be needed and should be employed. And machine learning algorithms are on the front end of that challenge to guide predictive analysis, automating learning. I think that's the key technology here from historical data sets. A couple of use cases where this could be highly relevant are, as mentioned, predicting capacity constraints, meaning predicting capacity requirements based on traffic patterns. That is a challenge in itself that we can only do with intelligent algorithms working on our behalf. And on the same operational front, another example, for instance, they also can be used to identify the onset of maintenance problems that can arise with your application and resources. Again, looking at historical data and projecting what can happen. But I think finally, and to touch a point that also Pedro unveiled just a couple of months ago, there is also an uncovered aspect of the equation that is the customer engagement, right? The customer engagement analysis, meaning how to derive some reasoning behind the end user behavior when playing out contents, for instance. We have a lot of data, as also Pedro was saying, we have a lot of video data in our systems from the client devices, from the players to the video systems that generate the workflow. And this data gives us what type of content the customer is watching, for how long, the quality of experience metrics that they are experiencing, right? So meaning the bit rate that they are being served, the bit rate up shifts and down shifts, and of course that's a very important quality of experience metric as perceived by the customer. The startup or response times, for instance. I think this data, all of this quality of experience data is very valuable to product or marketing teams around the operators to reinforce that their customer knowledge, and can be used to different use cases, right? Improve segmentation, to promotions, improve retention policies. I think it's a buzzword in some cases, but for sure that if we employ it the right way, and if we are looking to the applicable use cases, there are much to do in that front. So I'm sure that we will talk about this for sure.
So, Pedro, on your side, is it a buzzword for you? Is it reality? What are your thoughts about machine learning?
You know, the other day I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking about the traffic pattern as a really interesting matter for the AI. Most probably in the near future, we will learn how to build our machine learning based on the inputs coming out from the traffic pattern that the AI is gonna learn, or let's say to record at the end how the traffic behavior is going to impact our networks. So let me give you an example. On last year, because of pandemic, we suffered a lot. No, not just LLA, all the companies around the world. Nobody was prepared for such amount of traffic or customer behavior consuming different entertainment services. TV was not the exception, right? So I'm wondering how in the near future, these kind of things like artificial intelligence or machine learning can help us in order not just to predict how to adjust our capacity automatically, how the maintenance activities can be done, let's say, as a precaution just to avoid major disasters or outages, for example. So, and on the other hand, the customer behavior have changed a lot. Usually in the past, let me give you just as reference before pandemic, we used to see a lot of prime hours just consume, let's say, traffic or let's say use the systems. But I can tell you nowadays it's quite different. We cannot have sometimes a clear picture when customers want to watch something in particular, right? So if you ask me if this is going to be a useful way how we can handle it or treat our data analytics with some, AI and machine learning, of course, it's going to help a lot, and it's going to be the next step in the future. I don't know if Velocix or any other is already working on this in order to provide, as André mentioned, some tools that we can test on field and see in reality if this is going to be a huge or not contribution so far. So, but the future is there. I mean, we just set the expectations that this is going to be important, and most probably it's going to be our next conversation very soon.
I think so too. I'm looking at the time a bit. So yeah, maybe we do another session on machine learning AI in a few weeks, months from now. Now it's time for Q&A. We have received a few questions. So if you, dear audience, you still have questions, send us your questions. Use the tool on screen to send us your questions. We'll start with a few here. Number one was, how do you make sure analytics can cope with massive volumes of data? I think it's something for both of you. I let maybe start with André. I mean, massive data, LLA has quite a few subscribers, huge country, many countries, huge countries. So how do you make sure analytics can cope with massive volumes of data?
Okay, I can start. So yeah, definitely it's a very appropriate question because it's definitely an engineering challenge, right? And I was more or less tackling on that topic before. I think, the current video system and the traffic patterns that we have, and Pedro was talking about the pre-pandemic and after pandemic, right? So we are seeing different traffic patterns, but all of them generate a large volume of logs, right? This needs really to be properly ingested, processed, to be used as for their main purpose. Really, is to take action, right? To be used as actionable data. So I think the challenge in terms of massive volumes of data, right? The challenge begins to be addressed by using the right software stack in the solution, right? For you to create an effective data pipeline to collect, to process, and store with more efficiency in all the links along that chain of the data pipeline, right? So there are proven technologies on this field and on other web industries. So there are reference points on that regard. Another side of it that has to be considered for sure, when you are massively scaling and ingesting data, you need to estimate the infrastructure resources that must be present to support this variation in terms of data ingest in a given period. And on that point, and to circle back to the initial point on our conversation today, cloud technology really plays an important role also for analytics pipelines, right? Because it enables the auto-scaling mechanisms required for the applications to cope with all these data processing activities that are very CPU and memory intensive, right? With the highest performance possible. I would say that between selecting the right applications and an approach to infrastructure that considers auto scaling, you you have the main part of how to address the challenge.
Okay. Pedro, anything from your side on that? That's not in the control of...
Yeah, I would like just to add a little bit, just a comment. Of course, it's obvious. The volume of data is going to be a huge one. So that's obvious. So the thing is how this data is going to be structured from a logical way, because at the end, it's a simple concept that you take a database, of course, we're not going to explain detail, but the mechanisms, how the database is going to be analyzed at the end is part of the challenge. Because why I say this? Because usually we used to see, a process that can generate logs because of whatever is the reason. And those logs are, let's say, stored in a server or in a database. But at the end, let me put it in this way, the muscle or the engines that you have to process this analytic is a challenge. So it's a combination of the logic of the data, how this is going to be stored at some point, and how after that is going to be processed, with the resources in the cloud.
Okay, so next question is an interesting one. Are operators prioritizing analytics sufficiently? I think, Pedro, that's a yes. So I get the feeling, yes, it's important for you. You said it's critical. So surely for you, it's important. But maybe, André, you talk to many other operators. Do you see reluctance somehow, somewhere? And if yes, why? Or is everybody clear? Yes, analytics is key. I need to go. What's the situation globally?
Yeah. If I may, I would like to. Yeah, sure. If I may, I would like to say that the analytic is a crucial matter. Absolutely, as I mentioned before. The thing is, today in reality, we have less than what we would have. We would like to have. Let's say. So the thing is, along the process, when we go finally to the cloud systems, I hope, and this is a hope, of course, that the analytics is going to be not just part of the but the service is working. You have all the resources available in place for giving the services to our customers, but also analytics is going to be mandatory, in my opinion, as part of the normal delivery or normal deployments, if we talk in the future when we talk about cloud systems, right? So it's a huge challenge, in my opinion, but I truly believe that it's a crucial matter.
Yeah. So André, outside of LLA, what do you see the appetite of other operators on analytics? Is it the same like Pedro, or some are more pushy, some are less pushy?
No, definitely it's in the same line. Of course, what can change, of course, is the level of adoption that they might have at a given moment to this kind of data-based technologies, right? But the interest in having the right data or having more data also, that is very important. The more you have, the more you can also extract from it. And we are seeing two sides of this, right? We are seeing requests by many customers for us to include in our products more log generation capabilities and more monitoring capabilities. So this is really to make sure that we have all the tools to measure properly. And then, of course, the other side of it, right? How to really have tools in terms of visualizations, in terms of reports that can be used for not only engineering and operation teams, but as I said before, marketing teams to take action on the data that is there. So I think I don't say that is a trend, because that's something that since a couple of years ago, it's been given a lot of attention. The level of maturity and adoption from each operator may differ, but the interest is common, right? We need data, more data. We need to extract meaningful information from the data. We need to use it for our operational and day-to-day activities.
Okay. So everybody wants it. And maybe it's a question to both of you. What are the challenges in getting there? Or maybe the other way around, what are success factors for successfully deploying that analytics as fast, as efficient, as powerful as possible? So challenges and success factors. So I don't know who wants to go first. Maybe Pedro. Are there challenges? Are there any at all on deploying them?
Yeah, like a normal project or from the engineering point of view, of course, we need to define, first of all, which are the variables that we are interested in. Second, we need to see if those variables, what kind of impacts will have from the services point of view, from the customer experience point of view, from the video quality point of view. So the different aspects. It's not just one insulated aspect. So at the end, if we adopt, let's say, new analytics solutions, or it's going to be a powerful tool, of course, we need to see how this is going to contribute at the end in reality, looking at the results. But it's something that we have to see carefully, especially at the beginning, not in the middle or at the end of the deployment. So before to start any deployment, when we refer to cloud system, for example, in my opinion, we need to define this in advance. At least the expectations and the objectives that we want to control and test along the way.
Okay, so plan properly. It's going to be a lot of work for sure, but it doesn't seem like it's a real big challenge. Yes, structure it well. It will be a big mountain of work, but not really a challenge. Is that what I heard, right, Pedro?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, and the challenge. I would like to rephrase that part. Just the challenge is going to be how we can prove at the end that the analytic is going to have the right information or results to see on field on our customer side that they are more happy than before, right?
Okay, André, what do you have to say to that? What do you see as maybe key success factors or recommendations to sum it up?
Yeah. Well, let me try to complement, I think, the challenges. I totally agree with Pedro. On the success front, on the success criteria, I think we can look at also the financial impacts, right, of having an analytic solution or investing in data sources for your operations. I think there are two main angles, right? So that we can consider from a financial impact, right? The first of all, the operational response, because there is a cost associated with downtimes, outages, etc. So this is of course has to be translated to thousands of dollars every time you have a minute of downtime in your system. So really, each minute counts, and the quick reaction times do matter. So I think that's a KPI that can be measured from the financial side, but is linked to having the data availability and operate on top of the data. And I think the second perspective is regarding the customer engagement, right? Churn reduction in this sense. So if you are measuring quality of experience, the main objective should be to tackle the experience and the perception that the user is having from your video experience, right? So we know that end users are very sensitive to quality degradation, specifically on challenging times or live events, for instance. So this could have an impact also. So if you are using data and you are looking at data in a more consistent way, and if you are taking also behavior insights, you understand better what the customer are perceiving. You can take better policies to make sure that the customer is happy, to make sure that you improve the customer retention rate on your site, and that effectively links also to direct business improvement. And that is also, in my perspective, a success factor in itself.
Good. So
yeah.
If
I may, Andy, if I may, sure. I would like to add something, because usually we used to confuse from the operator point of view that the life is more easy when you talk about the managed devices, for example, right? Because you have almost fully control on all the variables, let's say transport or access, content delivery network, and all the video core platforms. But what about, for example, when we have unmanaged devices? I have to tell you something. Probably in the future, the business from the TV point of view is going to be quite open, that this is not going to be just because of managed devices. Every device is going to have access to the entertainment or let's say services like this. But this is a huge challenge as well, because how are we going to be able to measure and to handle these scenarios, considering or especially when 5G, for example, is just on the corner, right? So they are saying from the standard point of view that the industry is gonna have as an approach 100 megabit per second per user, less than 1 millisecond of latency. So it's a quite interesting invitation from the user perspective point of view to use and consume these kind of services. But this is gonna be unmanaged one. So I'm wondering, how are we going to be able to treat, from the analytics point of view, those experiences combined with the ones that we have as traditional ones from a managed services one? So I think it's an open discussion. We have to see how the new customers or products or market at the end is going to decide what kind of entertainments we will have in the future. But today, we have to think about it and see how we can build out these kind of solutions in the future.
Fair point. So there we have a challenge. How do we tackle unmanaged devices? Good point. Gentlemen, we're reaching the end. I think we had a great discussion. So there's definitely a lot of value in moving to the cloud, efficiency, scalability, working on peaks, saving costs, potentially. And without analytics, you're a bit in the blind. You can take more decisions, learn about customer behavior, incident management, find out, reduce the time of outages. I think, Pedro, you mentioned there was one recently. If you had analytics, probably it would have been a few seconds less, so maybe many seconds less, hopefully. Let's hope you don't have outages, but if you have them, hopefully with good analytics. Gentlemen, Pedro, Andre, it was a pleasure to have you. Dear audience, thank you for being with us. Thank you for your questions. And stay safe, take care of you, and see you soon. Pedro, Andre, muito obrigado, muchas gracias. Thank you for being with us. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.